From Fairfax, Virginia, on the campus of W.T. Woodson High School, WHCS Channel 29 presents the High School Group AAA Championship Football Game featuring the T.C. Williams Titans and the Hampton High School Crabbers. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tim Cole along with Bob Hintz, and we are here for the finals of the 3A between these two fine teams, and this game is being brought to you with promotional consideration by Hampton Chevrolet. Thinking of selling your car, truck, van, or mobile home? Let our professional sales staff do it for you. And by the Mid-Atlantic Coca-Cola Bottling Company. Coke is it. Well, Bob, this is it. This is the final game of the season, and this is the game that has been waited upon by the Hampton Crabbers since last year's 10-0 beating by this very same T.C. Williams team, and we should be in for one whale of a ball game this afternoon.
Well, Tim, this is going to be a tremendous game. I got to spend about a couple hours with Coach Smith Wednesday this week, and his team is really fired up. The quarterback from the other team had made some comments that Hampton was a mediocre team, and of course they don't need anything to excite them because of that 10-0 loss last year, so they feel they have a revenge factor here. But I know Mike's got his boys prepared. They're going to come out, and it's going to be a good game. Both of these teams are fine conditioned teams, good athletes of both teams, and fine coaching staffs, Tim. So we look for a real good ball game and a hard-fought game. I have a feeling it may be a low-scoring game because both teams have just let their opponents score very few points through the game. I see the Hampton team just coming onto the field. So we're looking for a real good game, Tim.
It should be an excellent game. Of course, as you mentioned, Hampton undefeated, ranked #1 in the state, ranked 12th in the nation by USA Today, comes into this game. The only loss on their record in the last 14 games was, of course, to T.C. Williams last year in that 10-0 loss to T.C. Williams. And, of course, T.C. Williams is the reigning state champ, so Hampton would like nothing better than to get the revenge factor. T.C. Williams comes into this game with one blemish on their record. That was a 17-14 loss to West Potomac. Otherwise, they are 12-1. They got into the final game here by beating a tough Patrick Henry of Roanoke team 10-0 last week. And, of course, Hampton in the quagmire of Todd Stadium defeated Monacan 18-0 without Robbie Robinson. And our hats off to Samuel Creighton for an incredible game last week. As you and I were wrapping up quickly last week, we were unable to get his final stats, but he, of course, the record tells it now, 209 yards in a supporting role, in a role that he hadn't really done that much with this season.
Well, this season he has been basically a linebacker and a defensive man. He has been used on the offense basically as a blocking back, and he hadn't gained but 135 yards all year long in all the games prior to this. The 13th game, so doing 209 was definitely a yeoman output for the young man, and he just did an admirable job in just terrible conditions at Todd Stadium.
Well, of course, the Samuel Creighton of last week will be a different Samuel Creighton this week. He will be back in his linebacker job and also returning to the position of fullback behind none other than Mr. Offense for the Hampton Crabbers, Robbie Robinson, who sat out last week's game for all intents and purposes. He was only in on snaps of the ball. And during that time, of course, we saw him have difficulty in the mud at Todd Stadium on that one snap for the punt that never materialized for the Crabbers.
That's for sure.
So Robbie, I understand, is back. He will start, and he is supposedly in perfect health. So you got to feel pretty good about your depth when you consider you've got your main man, 1,477 yards, sat out last week's game, and a man who hadn't gained but 135 all year goes in and runs for over 200 yards.
That's for sure. It's just been amazing that this young man has been free of injuries all year, but a lot of people would have thought that you got to use him in the semifinals to get to the finals, but Coach Smith's staff has a lot of confidence in a lot of ball players. They have ball players that has help them all year long. They've got people, two of them that's been on the All-State team, and he's got a lot of them that are coming back next year. So Hampton should be a very tough competitor in the district next year.
Well, there you see the Hampton Crabbers offensive team being introduced. As we were discussing this, Robbie Robinson trotted out on the field and was met by a great ovation from the Hampton side. And we're moments away from the start of this afternoon's game, but before that, we'll be right back with today's game after this brief timeout.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the offense team for the Titans. Cash, yours when you buy any new car or truck from Hampton Chevrolet Isuzu. For a limited time, Hampton will give you cash back for your purchase. $750 back for an '86 Cavalier, $900 back for an '86 Camaro, $1,400 back for an S10 Blazer, $1,500 back for an Isuzu Impulse or Trooper 2. Cash to use any way you please for Christmas or apply it to your down payment. Hurry to Hampton Chevrolet Isuzu or call 838-5450 now for complete details.
Tim Cole with Bob Hins back at W.T. Woodson High School. The team for the T.C. Williams Titans is being introduced to the crowd now, as we had already seen. There you see the Titans in their red, white, and blue uniforms. And something that we really didn't get a chance to touch on a moment ago, Bob, was, of course, the fact that the quarterback, Spencer Jenkins, for T.C. Williams, was quoted in the paper with some fairly disparaging remarks and against the Hampton team. He stated not to misquote him, but it was to the fact was, quote, "I'm not impressed with this team. I've seen several of their games on film and was not impressed. He thinks they can beat Hampton without any difficulty at all." And of course, you know, we recall years back when you and I were very young children when Joe Namath made such a statement prior to the game with the Baltimore Colts, and the difference was he made it come true, and it will be interesting to see this afternoon whether this becomes a factor or not.
Well, I know that Mike Smith doesn't have to bring that up to the team. The team has read the paper, and they know what was said, and they're going to use it to their advantage, I know. But also what Mike Smith did last night, when he got the team together, he showed them the film of last year's game when they got beat 10-0 by the same T.C. Williams team. And you don't have to say a whole lot to a team. Just by showing them that film, that's enough to make them get real excited and want a little bit of revenge.
All right, well, here we go with our national anthem. Set to go with this afternoon's game. The Hampton Crabbers 13-0. Their last game here, the most recently, as they've been in the playoffs. Of course, they defeated initially in the playoffs Deep Creek by the score of 34-14 at Todd Stadium. Then they went over to Kempsville at Kellum High School's field and played Kempsville, the toughest team that they felt that they had to beat to get to this point. They beat them 25-13 after a very hard-fought first half. Hampton came out and scored 2 touchdowns to win the game. And then, of course, last week against Monacan, the Chiefs gave them a tough time. As you see the captains for both teams coming out on the field. Let me give you just a moment to mention that Frank Saunders, 48, and Lamont Windsor, number 36, are the co-captains for the Titans. And for Hampton, number 2, Michael Bullock, and number 65, Carl Porter, are the co-captains for the Hampton Crabbers. Anyway, just to finish my thought was that they beat, of course, Monacan to get to this point 18-0. That was Hampton's 5th shutout of the year. And coming into this game, T.C. Williams in the playoffs has beaten West Potomac, the team that beat them during the regular season by the score of 12-6. Then they beat Herndon 16-11. And then their only shutout of the year, the team that's known for their defense, the T.C. Williams Titans, actually only registered one whitewashing of the season. But, of course, that came at a time when they really needed it, 10-0 over Patrick Henry.
Right, Tim, not to interrupt you, but Hampton just won the toss, and they have elected to receive, so they are receiving and defending the goal on our left. So we will get to see the Hampton Crabber offense in action right at the beginning of the ball game. And, of course, this is what Mike Smith wants to do. He wants to get out, get the ball, control the offense, control the ball, and take it down and to score, because the hardest thing to do in any kind of ball game, of course, is to play catch-up football. And, of course, if he can get on top right away, then that puts the leverage on the other team. So we will look for Robbie Robinson right off the bat here on their first series of downs.
Craig Overton will be back deep for the Crabbers. Kicking off for the Titans will be Pete Blumberg, number 59. And what you said is exactly accurate. Hampton's going to want to get on that board. They've done it. Hampton has averaged 23.5 points per game during the season and given up only 7.6 on defense, which isn't totally unlike that of the Titans of T.C. Williams, 19.5 on offense to 7.9 in defense. A short kick is going to be taken by Overton at the 15-yard line. To the 20, 25, puts his head down and gets almost to the 30-yard line, where the Crabbers will have the ball 1st and 10. Crabbers will be paced by Robbie Robinson in the backfield, along with Samuel Creighton, and of course the quarterback will be Michael Bullock.
You can see the teams out there, Tim, and they're similar in colors. Now, T.C. Williams is in red, white, and blue, and Hampton are the red pants with the white jerseys and red numerals.
Crabbers will start from their 29-yard line. Movement on the line by the defense, and then, of course, they can do that. The offense cannot, and we saw this. Drew Berggren, number 85, left a little early on the left end, so I'm pretty sure we're going to see a mark-off. Well, I'm going to be wrong with my first try.
Well, what happened, Tim, was the defensive man went into the neutral zone before the offensive man moved, and that's an automatic 5-yard penalty, and that'll mean Hampton will start off with the 1st and 5.
So what happens is Hampton cannot move, and neither can T.C. Williams, but T.C. Williams can move as long as they don't break that plane into the neutral zone.
They can't get into the neutral zone where the ball is, right?
Unlike college and pro, where the defense can literally cross the line and come back as long as they don't make contact before the ball is hit.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, 1st and 5 for the Crabbers. Into the slot goes Creighton. Top of your screen is Craig Overton. This is Robbie Robinson getting to the 30, if in fact he got that far, as Robinson was stopped just to get to the 30. The ball popped loose, but apparently after the whistle had blown, as one of the T.C. Williams players was heading for the end zone with the loose ball, but it had been ruled that it was blown dead. So they marked the ball exactly at the 34, so they give no gain on the play to Robbie Robinson.
You know, it's still 2nd and 5, but what T.C. Williams is, they play a 5-man line, and then they'll bring their linebackers up real close, and that time they brought them up, it's like Hampton is running almost onto an 8-man line. And you can see they get up real close.
2nd down at 5. This time Samuel Creighton gets the call. He crosses the 35 to about the 36, so a pickup of 2. And it brings up a 3rd down and 3 yards to go for the Hampton Crabbers. Early in the first quarter, we have no score. 10 minutes and 19 seconds remaining. Just a reminder to those of you watching this game that in high school, of course, you play 12-minute quarters, unlike pro and college. So we'll have a much quicker game in the sense of the time here, and there are some other rules we'll go down as we go along.
Right, there's a lot of difference in the high school and the college ranks. So this would be a passing situation for most teams, but Mike Smith's team has been able to pick up 3 yards with no problem. But he does have a man wide open, and he just overthrew him, and that was our favorite receiver, Will Jeter, coming out of off of his tight end position.
Jeter was the intended receiver. He was open, as you said, Bob, but unfortunately Bullock could not get the ball to him. And I was watching as the play developed. Of course, the play-action fake there to Robbie Robinson was supposed to freeze the linebackers and keep the secondary from getting a chance to tee off. But that time they did their job, but unfortunately Bullock couldn't get the ball to the intended receiver, Jeter. Don Pincus will be standing at his 24-yard line as he'll be in deep punt formation for the Crabbers. Pincus gets the kick away. It's an end-over-end kick taken at the 37, fumbled, and the ball is still loose. And it appears Hampton got it.
Oh, what a break for the Crabbers. And I don't know if you can see one of the players that was down there was number 11, Robbie Robinson, who snaps for the punts, is the center for the punts, and he was down there real close and almost recovered like he did in the Kempsville game.
And the last man up, I believe, Keith Custis was the man who recovered that punt for the Crabbers. So the Crabbers get a big break here early in the first quarter, and they have a 1st and 10 at the Titans' 39-yard line. Overton sets up on the bottom of your screen, just out of your picture. Pitch back goes to Robbie Robinson. Robinson tripped up in the backfield. Fine defensive play on the stop for T.C. Williams. Frank Sanders, number 48, one of their key defensive players. I'm told, and I've read, according to the Daily Press too, that between Lamont Windsor, Frank Sanders, and Harvey Yancey, that they have combined for a total of 26 quarterback sacks for this season, which is an incredible number when you consider it's high school football.
Well, it sure is, but not only that, but that is one of the 2 returning starters from last year's team. Last year's team lost 20 out of 22 players that returned 2 linebackers, and that was one of the young men that returned.
Loss of a yard for Robinson. This is again Robinson. Fumbles the ball, picks it up, gets some yardage as he gets down inside the 35, but we've got some flags down, I believe. There's been indication of illegal motion against the Crabbers. So the Crabbers are, well, check that. I thought he was going to signal something, but they ruled the ball as dead at the 40.
Well, what happened that time is that was like a little shuffle pass or something, and if he dropped it, it's like an incomplete pass. So he's right back to where he was on his 3rd down and 11. That ball was blown dead when it hit the ground.
I see. I thought it was a handoff. So we're quite a ways from the field. It's hard at times to pick everything up. Bullock has time, looks downfield, has Jeter wide open, and is underthrown, however, and Jeter has to come back and play some defense. As the man who almost came up with that pass was John Smith, number 32 for the Titans. If that ball had been thrown long enough, Jeter would have certainly had a much better chance at it. He had to come back and actually play a little defense.
He had to come back and play defense. Well, that put Hampton right back in the punting situation again. They have not picked up maybe 3 yards in their 6 offensive plays so far.
Pincus gets the snap. He wants to obviously get that ball to bounce or go dead inside the 10. Actually is fielded at the 14-yard line by T.C. Williams. That's Lydell Scott, the main running back for the Titans. And now, finally, T.C. Williams will have the ball for the first time this afternoon. They'll start from their 14-yard line. T.C. Williams, under the head coaching of Glenn Furman, who has been extremely successful here at T.C. Williams, his 4th year rather. And we'll see the Titans come out led by 10, Spencer Jenkins, the quarterback. From the 14, 1st and 10, inside handoff for about a yard, across the 15 to maybe the 16. And carrying the ball was Lydell Scott, number 40 for the Titans. Coming into this game, Lydell Scott had carried for 538 yards on the season. The leading rusher on the team, strangely enough, Bob, is the quarterback, Spencer Jenkins.
Well, it's not really strange if you consider the offense that they run is a veer offense where the quarterback has an option to keep the ball if he's open and run it, and of course that's what Spencer Jenkins does.
Gain of almost 2, 2nd down and 8. Ball is loose, and it's going to be recovered by the Crabbers.
That's twice Hampton come up with the ball on fine defensive plays and very opportunistic football, and that'll make the difference between a ball game if you can get turnovers. And of course now Hampton's got 2, and they need to capitalize on this one.
Tim Penny was the Hampton Crabber falling on that loose ball, so the Titans now have had real problems this afternoon holding on to the pigskin. The temperature at game time about 45 degrees, a brisk wind coming from our right to our left, and well, it just seems to be a problem.
It really does, and you can see what championships the Hampton Crabbers have done, and they need to get some points on the board at this point of the field.
Robbie Robinson dragging a tackler with him, gets down to maybe the 13. Robinson so far has been shut down. Of course, we're early in the ball game, and very similar to a team that has a running attack. You got to go with the running attack until you prove to yourselves as well as the other team that you can't go with it. That's your bread and butter. You got to go with it.
Well, it's like they say, you got to go with what got you here. And, of course, the running attack for Hampton is what's got them here. It's not their passing attack, and it's been Robbie Robinson. They've been basically a one-back offense, although they have shown that they do have other people who can carry the ball.
Short gain of about a half yard. This is Robinson diving off the right side down to about the 13. So the T.C. Williams defense right now is not allowing Robbie Robinson to get untracked whatsoever. They are keying on him as you might have expected they would.
Well, they're getting real close in that defense, and with that 5-man line, and they're bringing the 3 linebackers up. They're almost in a gap 8 where they've got 8 men right at the line of scrimmage. So they got a 3rd and 8 now, and if they can't get this in, of course, they're in a good position for a field goal. And there was a nice article in the paper about Leneve, the field goal kicker, has not had to kick at all this year. One time that he did have an opportunity was a bad snap on the center.
3rd down and 9. The Crabber offense has been able to do little or nothing on the delayed handoff. Robbie Robinson down inside the 5. Or check that, inside the 10 to about the 10-yard line, and he'll be well short of a first down. A little pushing and shoving going on between the players as they unpile. Robinson gets the ball to the 10, and now we're going to have a timeout called by the officials. While we have a timeout, let's take this brief break for a cheerleader salute.
Hey, this is my last football game I'll ever cheer as high school cheerleader, and I'm ready to take state.
All right, you're doing a great job.
All right.
Back at W.T. Woodson High School, the Hampton Crabbers have the ball resting on the T.C. Williams 10-yard line, and they have a 4th down. And this might be one of those opportunities you might have considered. Leneve might try for one of those field goals. They're certainly within range, but the Crabbers are not going to go for it. They're going for the first down. 4th and 5. And now a timeout called as Michael Bullock appeared to have something in mind. I think he was trying to maybe draw him off.
That's exactly what he's doing, Tim. That was a very good call. It's 4th and 5, and if you could get the other team to jump over and get into that neutral zone and get that automatic 5-yard penalty against them, that gives you a 1st and goal from the 5. They didn't do it, so they're bringing Leneve, and they will attempt the field goal. And I can't see the spot on this thing. It looks like there's about 5 minutes and 18 seconds to go in the first half, but I can't see the spot where the ball will be placed to give you an idea how far the kick will be.
Well, they're going to mark the ball. Going to be at the 17-yard line, it appears, which will make it a 27-yard attempt. So Chris Leneve will be trying it out of the hold of Michael Bullock, the quarterback, of course. This always gives you the option for something different than a field goal attempt, but I think at this point we very well will see Leneve go for the field goal. 5:18 remaining in the first quarter. We have no score as Hampton's offense has been struggling. Their defense has been doing a great job. Leneve gets the kick up. It's long enough, and it's good.
Well, that was real good because Hampton had to come down there after getting 2 turnovers like that. If they'd have came away empty-handed with no points, then that would have really hurt their mental state. But this will be a good boost to the Hampton Crabbers. Now, their defense is really tough, as both of these teams have exhibited all year long. You alluded to earlier that they have given up very, very few points, both teams. So we look for this to be a low-scoring game.
So we'll have the kickoff after that field goal. But while I have this opportunity, I'd like to ask you a question. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. Well, maybe you can't go home again, but you can sure make the place where you are seem just like the old home place, with plenty of classic Coke around. Coke on ice. Oh, how nice. Coke is it. The Hampton Crabbers leading by the score of 3-0 here in the first quarter. 5 minutes and 13 seconds remain in the first quarter as the Hampton Crabbers had the ball twice in a row, in the sense that it was turned over on fumbles on the punt, and then of course on the second play that the Titans ran from offense, they coughed the ball up, and the Hampton Crabber offense has not really been able to get untracked at all here.
Well, they sure haven't. They've been shut down by a fine Titan defense. That's the first points that the Titans have given up in a championship game in quite a while, so maybe that'll go for the Hampton Crabbers. We'll see what happens.
Chris Leneve, who put Hampton ahead by 3-0, has the ball teed up at the 40. The kick away. Now this is unusual for Hampton. They actually kicked that ball away at the 20-yard line. And that's a fine return by Lydell Scott. Lydell Scott returns the ball for the Titans. They've got pretty good field position out to the 41-yard line.
Well, they sure do. They've started off at good field position when they buffed the punt. The first punt, it was on about the 30, and then they ended up getting the ball back at their 14, and then they turned it back over again. So this is the best field position they've had today.
From the 41, the Titans led by Spencer Jenkins at quarterback. And little or nothing there, as maybe out to the 42-yard line. And I'm still trying to determine whether or not the ball actually got handed off. It was hard to determine whether the quarterback handed it off or kept it himself.
Well, he picked up about 2 yards. It looked like the quarterback kept the ball. What he does on that veer, that he can hand the ball to the fullback going on the veer, or he can follow the fullback in, use him as a blocker or a pitch to his wide man. It looked like, to me that time, Tim, he kept the ball.
Well, there you saw his stats, almost equally between passing and rushing for Jenkins. 2nd down and 8. Pass on the left side. Intended receiver for the Titans was number 17, and that would be Devon Williams.
Well, number 88 was in the same area, and it looked like both of them went up for the ball, and it was overthrown for both of them, and the Hampton Crabber also had a chance at it, but that ball was just thrown too high. Well, they are definitely in a passing situation now. This is a left-handed quarterback, and Hampton hasn't run into a left-handed quarterback all year. And that'll mean most of these teams he'll be left-handed oriented, so they'll play most of their plays will go to the left-hand side.
Inside handoff to Scott, and he gets a couple of yards out to close to the 45, but that's going to bring up a 4th down for the Titans, as they were unable to move the ball after that kickoff to the 41. So a 4-yard gain totally on this series of downs for the Titans, and they'll be forced to punt. And we'll see in deep punt formation number 11, Eddie Bunn, who comes into this game for the Titans, averaging almost exactly the same number of yards in punting as does his counterpart, Don Pincus of Hampton. 31.1 for Eddie Bunn, 31.7 for Pincus. Gets a high snap, but little or no rush from the Crabbers. Gets a good kick away, back inside the 20. It takes a Titan bounce, and Craig Overton picks it up and is taken down immediately at the 15-yard line. Over there very quickly, it was 32. Check that to 10, and that's John Smith, who made the fine tackle for the Titans. So he took it at the 15 and went back to the 10.
Well, I tell you what, that'll give coaches gray hairs quicker than anything else. One thing that you hate to see happen on a punt is the ball hit the ground. You need to at least catch the ball, because that ball hit at about the 21, 22-yard line, and then it bounced. And then when he picked it up, he got tackled at 10. So that really gave pushed them back another 10, 12 yards closer to their end zone.
All right, the Crabbers leading by 3, but virtually the offense has been non-existent here during the first quarter. We'll see if they can get on track this time. Robinson takes the left side, trying to get outside, and gets about 3 out to about the 13. Over there on the stop for T.C. Williams, 53, Willie Crenshaw was in on the stop. And also in on the play was Antonio Jordan, number 16.
They're going to have to get their offense in gear and get some more, get a little bit of blocking on that line. Coach Smith has said all year long that his offensive line is a good offensive line, and they can make adjustments during the game. A lot of times you have to wait to halftime before you make some adjustments, but this offensive line has been able to make some adjustments all year long.
Fake to Robinson, got a man downfield. This is Overton, he's got it at the 40-yard line. Overton is in for the score, and there are no flags on the field.
I saw a defensive lineman jump, but evidently he did not get into the end zone, and that was a tremendous throw. The defensive back just stopped. Looks like he's going to call something down there. He stepped out of bounds, Tim. He said he stepped out of bounds at about the 43-yard line.
I knew he was close over there because I was curious myself as to perhaps, of course, we're all the way on this side of the field, but it looked like he was very close to the sidelines, and unfortunately for the Crabbers, the touchdown will not stand. But Overton, in my heart, went 87 yards with that pass. What a fine play.
And I tell you, I couldn't believe what happened with the defensive man. The defensive back just stopped and kind of looked to see where the ball was. And, of course, it was a good throw by Mike Bullock.
So from the 13 all the way down to the 44, this opens up your running game a little bit as Robinson now gets his ball carrying in gear down to the 41-yard line.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike Smith is not afraid to put that ball in there. You and I have talked about this all during the playoffs, that he will throw the ball at his end zone. It makes no difference. He's going to put the ball up in the air, and if that's what it takes to open up the offense and get that running game running, he's going to do it. Mike Smith just done a tremendous job at Hampton High the whole time he's been there, as you could tell by his record, Tim.
Well, that was a shame that Overton did step out of bounds, and there is some discussion on the sidelines between the officials. There was an official's timeout momentarily for discussion between one of the officials and Mike Smith. That's over with now, and we're about set to go as Robbie Robinson picked up about 3 on the last play. The ball is marked just shy of the 40 of T.C. Williams. And this second handoff now goes to Robbie Robinson, and he is not going anywhere. As in on the stop for the Titans was 57, Tracy Fells for the Titans. And Robbie Robinson so far has been held to, I guess, about his largest gain is about 3 yards.
About 3 yards. And, you know, the coaches tell us that he's healthy and that he's ready to go. But you and I know that you can't bruise ribs as bad as he bruised them in the Kempsville game and sit out and come back in and be sharp after a game layoff. So I don't know. I'm not making any excuses for the young man because the Titans do have a tremendous defense, but that is a possibility.
Overton sets up at the top of your screen at the wide position. He's the man who caught that fine pass a moment ago. Fake goes to Robinson, looking for Overton again. Overton's got it at the 20. Greg Overton is doing a super job of getting open.
Well, not only that, I'm real pleased and real excited about the way Bullock is throwing that ball. We have seen him throw the ball on occasions where he had a man wide open and throws it way over his head or has not put the ball on the money, but he is putting that ball on the money. Of course, that young man had to go up in the air and catch it, but they're moving the ball, Tim. They started at the 10-yard line.
Bullock had 10 touchdown passes during the season and passed for over 1,000 yards. So he's not exactly a stranger to passing, but with a man like Robbie Robinson, and this is Samuel Creighton. Creighton breaks open, and he's going to score.
There's a young man from 209 yards last week and used strictly as a blocking back. And of course, they were looking for Robbie Robinson to get the ball. This is what Mike Smith said he wanted to do, Tim, was get the ball and put some points on the board and make them play catch-up ball, make them do things that they're not in their game plan. And of course, now that if we can get the extra points, you got a 10-0 lead, and that reminds you of last year when they lost 10-0.
Certainly does. But of course, this game long from over. 3 quarters to go. We've got but 18 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. The Crabbers leading by 9. Lanieve looking to make it 10, and he does. So the Hampton Crabbers now have made it 10-0, the identical score to which they were defeated by this T.C. Williams team last year, and they are back in business.
Well, Tim, that was a tremendous drive. That was a 90-yard drive. It could have been an 87-yard pass and a touchdown, but the young man stepped out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. But then they didn't let that deter them. They just went on down. They did a couple running plays, a pass play, and then that nice handoff to Sam Creighton, and right up the middle he went.
Before we get the kickoff after that touchdown, let's take a brief timeout for a cheerleader salute.
Again, is
Adrian Burgess.
Adrian, what's going to happen in the second half?
We're going to tear them up. That's what's going to happen.
"18 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The Hampton Crabbers leading by the score of 10-0 on the strength of a 27-yard field goal by Chris Lanieve early in or midway through the first quarter, and then as the seconds are ticking down here in the first quarter, Samuel Creighton from the 20-yard line drove all the way down and scored actually with ease. Once he got inside the 5, no one was there. And I think you're right, they used Robbie Robinson as a decoy.
They sure did it, and this is what Mike Smith wants to do, get the points on the board, and he's got them on early.
Chris Lanieve gets it away, bounds at the 23, is taken again by Lydell Scott. The 35 to about the 37, so about the same starting position for T.C. Williams as they had the last time. The last drive that they started was from their 41, and that bogged down after a very short gain of about 3 yards total on the 4 downs. So the Crabber defense right now has been tough. But again, a long time to go between this and the end of the game, as we may have seen the last play of the first quarter. They are winding down to no seconds. That is the end of the first quarter. And after 1 quarter of play, our score is the Hampton Crabbers 10, the T.C. Williams Titans nothing. We'll return with more first half action after this brief timeout.
Cash, yours when you buy any new car or truck from Hampton Chevrolet Isuzu. For a limited time, Hampton will give you cash back for your purchase. $750 back for an '86 Cavalier, $900 back for an '86 Camaro, $1,400 back for an S10 Blazer, $1,500 back for an Isuzu Impulse or Trooper 2. Cash to use any way you please for Christmas or apply it to your down payment. Hurry to Hampton Chevrolet Isuzu or call 838-5450 now for complete details.
Tim Cole with Bob Hins back at W.T. Woodson High School. The second quarter of the AAA High School Championship just about set to get underway. T.C. Williams with the football. 1st and 10 from their 37-yard line as they are trailing the Hampton Crabbers by the score of 10-0.
We might see him put the ball up a little more now, Tim, than they did the first quarter. You're trailing now, but his offense has been kind of split between his passing and his running. But I tell you, the Hampton defense looks like they're fired up.
Lydell Scott, number 40, the ball carrier, gets absolutely nothing as he tried the middle of the Hampton defensive line. And that's tough going in there when you've got Randy Pearson and Carl Porter and a few of those boys in there. You're going to have to go around them if you're going to get some yards.
You're not going over them, that's for you're not going through them. Nothing will fire a defense up any more than when the offense puts some points on the board. But you have to understand now the defense has turned the ball over to the offense twice so far for the Hampton Crabbers.
Fake, and the left-handed passer gets it downfield, but it's tipped. And I believe
Number
the man
two
who got his hand on the ball was Michael Bullock. The man who threw that fine pass a while ago to Overton was the man who played the defense. And, you know, that brings up an interesting point, Bob. You and I didn't get a chance to discuss this, but I was reading, again, from the Daily Press, and our thanks go to all the fine writers of the Daily Press and Times-Herald for their help. T.C. Williams has no players that go both ways. They have players that play offense and they have players that play defense, but none of them have offense and defense.
Well, not like the Crabbers, and Crabbers will have them on both.
Jenkins tries to get away from a would-be tackler and does so, but finally gets to the 40 where he is taken down hard. And in there was Sherwood Jones, number 70. Don't let me forget Sherwood when I mention the middle of that Hampton line.
Absolutely not.
Because he is one tough customer.
Well, I tell you what, he was spun around. He got out of a couple of possible tackles in the backfield, and when he got hit, once he crossed the line of scrimmage, he got hit about 3 times, and he went down quick. That is a very aggressive Hampton defense out there right now, Tim. They're really are fired up. They want that ball back for their offense.
Eddie Bunn will be punting from about his 27 to 2 deep men. Well, a short kick won't make it to either one of them. This goes off the side of his foot and will go out of bounds around the 40 of Hampton. Sorry to say, back for the Crabbers was Michael Bullock and Craig Overton, but they never had a chance at fielding that ball. A very poor kick by Eddie Bunn.
That was right off the side of his foot, and that happens to, and you see this happen to not only the college, but even the pros sometime, but that really gives Hampton a tremendous field position. The best field position, of course, they had when they got it on the turnovers, but that is tremendous field position when you get the ball at your own 40. Check me on their, oh, that's right, they're 40. They're 40, Tim.
So the Crabbers will start from their 40. Again, a very short kick by Eddie Bunn, who averages 31 yards a kick coming into this game. Michael Bullock hands off to Robbie Robinson, dives over the right side for about 3. Robbie has not gotten on track so far in this game, but then again, he hasn't had to. They've given him the ball. He's getting some of the short yardage for him, but you might expect, as you said, not to belabor the point, that they've got T.C. Williams has got an excellent defense, and B, Robbie Robinson didn't play last week, and he's still suffering some pain from those bruised ribs.
Oh, he's got to be, Tim. But I tell you what, the Titans defense, those young men, when they tackle, they hit you right around the ankles. And Robbie has been able to break some tackles this year, but he hasn't been able to yet today.
Robinson gets the fake. The pass downfield was intended for Will Jeter, and Craig Overton was also in the area, but neither one of the Hampton players was really that close to making the reception. Bullock, surprisingly, is either way off or right on target. He hasn't been even close at this point. It's either right in their hands or not even close.
Well, and that might be a good omen, because if he might be close, then it could be intercepted. If he's way off, I don't know. But the young man was open. Overton was supposed to come down and cross the center, and he started his movement across, and then he saw the ball going outside, and he evidently thought it was for him, not thinking or knowing that Jeter was running an out route.
Mike Smith is doing a little bit of something a little bit different this week in the fact that he's using Dickerson and Creighton at times to bring the plays in. And this pass is completed to Robbie Robinson. Robinson has the first down and then struggles for some extra yardage. And he'll have the Crabber first down at the 46-yard line of the Titans.
That was a hard pass to catch. He had to turn around and catch the pass, then get his balance as he was being hit. And he was hit, but he wasn't knocked down, and he was able to twist and turn and lean forward and get that extra yard for the first down. That's a tremendous individual effort on the young man's part. Robbie Robinson has just been a catalyst for this team all year long, Tim.
They marked the ball at the 47 of T.C. Williams. First man through is Samuel Creighton, and he gets little or no yardage this time. He had an incredible week, as we've mentioned. Those of you who may not know, Samuel Creighton, of course, played against Monacan in the mud at Todd Stadium last week and ran for over 200 yards in a fill-in role as Robbie Robinson was unable to go last week. Creighton came in and did a tremendous job of getting over 200 yards and virtually carried Hampton right here to the finals.
Sure did, because they needed him. They couldn't use Robbie at all, but they needed somebody that could run well in a wet, slippery, muddy field, and he did it. And we referred to him last week as a mudder. There's no mud out here today, Tim. The field looks in good shape.
Put some water on the field. If that'll help him, we'll wet down the field and see if that'll give him an assist. Flags are down as Bullock is being chased in the backfield and will be dragged down. Now, the important thing to determine is the play going to be called against the Crabbers? I'm not sure. I haven't seen an initial indication yet. We'll wait and see. Here comes the referee in the center of your screen. He'll give a motion against the Crabbers.
Well, they'll decline that.
They'll decline it, of course. So the Crabbers find themselves losing considerable yardage on the sack to Michael Bullock. 13 yards they are going to lose on the sack. Needless to say, the 5-yard penalty will be declined. And we want to thank Bill Marsh for our stats, as we'll be getting them this afternoon throughout the game.
And these are the official stats also for the game.
He is the official man. His word is God around here when it comes to the stats. 10-0, the Crabbers leading. 8 minutes and some change remaining here in the first half. The Crabbers offense has, except for that long drive, have not really been able to get on track. But they got the one that counted. They got that long pass downfield, then they got another turnover. And now Michael Bullock is going to call another timeout as he looked around the defense and wasn't sure he liked what he saw. So he calls the timeout. And a reminder to you while I have this opportunity. Tim Cole with Bob Hens back at WT Woodson. We had a momentary power loss here. We apologize for the lack of some picture for a minute, but we lost about 3 plays, but nothing has really transpired other than the fact that T.C. Williams has the ball at their 21-yard line. The Hampton defense has sacked the quarterback and then on the ensuing play stopped the running back, Lydell Scott, coming to the near side for a loss. So now it's 3rd down and about 18 yards to go for the Titans. Quarterback, left-handed quarterback, dumps it off over the middle. That pass was not even close to the intended receiver.
No, that hit the ground way about 3 or 4 yards in front of where the receiver was.
Randy Evans was the intended receiver, and I say that because he was the man in the direct line of the pass. But that time, once again, the Hampton defense did not give Jenkins any time whatsoever to throw the ball. And one of the things that they missed while we were away on that momentary loss of power was Sherwood Jones, as Sherwood Jones totally decked Spencer Jenkins on a pass play that was on the first play.
Well, he being a left-handed quarterback, they're coming from the left-hand side, and he's by the time he turns, he's got a defensive man right in his face, Tim, and that's probably what happened on the last defensive play. And another poor kick.
Well, another poor kick by Budd, and then to my surprise, the T.C. Williams player nearest the ball grabbed it, and it appeared to be taking a T.C. Williams bounce. It was certainly moving in that direction towards the right side of the field, but he grabbed it and stopped it.
Well, and he was just so close to it, the ball bounced, and just a reaction to reach out and grab it, and he probably, as soon as he grabbed it, wished he wouldn't have grabbed it.
Well, the Crabbers are glad he did, as they have the ball now at the Titan 42-yard line. Overton comes to the near side of the field. Creighton and Robinson in the backfield. Handoff goes to Creighton as, again, Robinson was coming to the near side of the field. They've been handing the ball off a little more to someone other than Robinson. They've been going away from Robinson so far. They may be setting him up for something a little later on down the road.
Well, we know that Mike Smith is going to pass the ball, and you and I have a favorite receiver in this tight end, Will Jeter. He has just bailed Hampton out 2 or 3 times this year on some nice catches. But Overton has been the man of the hour today on the receiving end of the Bullock's passes.
Pickup of 1 yard for Creighton, 2nd down and 9. Fake by Bullock, has time. Now throws over the middle, and it's intercepted by the Titans. And that ball was thrown directly into the hands of number 48, and that would be Frank Sanders, the premier linebacker for the Titans. And so Michael Bullock finds the receiver, but this one is a red, white, and blue clad receiver in the form of Frank Sanders. So the Crabbers turn the ball over now, and T.C. Williams will start from their 33-yard line, trailing by the score of 10-0.
Number 85, Drew Bergman, was wide open on that play for Hampton, but Bullock had already made a decision on who he was going to throw the ball to.
This is Jenkins. Jenkins keeps the ball as he crosses the 35 to about the 38-yard line. Jenkins on the quarterback keeper, faked the handoff, kept to the 38. And we have 4 minutes and 44 seconds remaining here in the first half as the Crabbers lead by the score they were defeated by last year by this very same team.
Well, what's happened right now is a little bit of the momentum has swung back to the offensive team. And this is one thing that you try to keep away from. You try to keep away from the turnovers because the defense turns the ball over and it'll fire up the offensive team. But as you alluded to earlier, Tim, they don't have people going both ways as Hampton does. Hampton has players playing both offense and defense all the time.
Most notably, of course, is Michael Bullock, number 2, the quarterback. Number 22, Craig Overton, is in there on the plays. Samuel Creighton, the blocking back, running back for the Crabbers, plays linebacker, and a great job at that. So the Crabbers do have a lot of athletes that play both offense and defense. Jenkins keeps on the quarterback option and crosses to the 43-yard line.
That's
it's
very
close. Yeah.
Yes.
It looks to depend on where they mark the ball, but it's going to be real close.
I believe they'll call a timeout and measure that. Or no, they're not. They're going to measure it. They're saying it's 4th down. So now you have a situation here where you're going to go for it. If you don't make it, then you give the Hampton a good the ball in very fine field position. And it looks like they're going to go for it tonight. They don't have the kicker in.
All right, big play. 3:15 to go in the first quarter, 4th and inches. And it's going to be close, but on great second effort, Lydell Scott carries for the first down for T.C. Williams. So he was stopped on the initial surge, but his second effort got him more than enough for the first down as it's just shy of the 45-yard line.
That was a good second effort because he was hit at the line of scrimmage.
First down picked up by
2:55, clock moving here in the first half as T.C. Williams has the first down at the ball just shy of the 45-yard line of the Titans. Left-handed passer has time, but it throws the ball well over the intended receiver's head. Edward Marshall, number 27, was out on the pattern, and he really didn't have much of a chance at all. If he was 7'4", he might have had a chance. Marshall not that tall at 5'8", so he had a little bit of a handicap as it was standing in a hole to begin with. 2nd down and 10. Mix up in the backfield. Jenkins chased. Now containment on the side as he is being forced to the sidelines, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage before he is driven out of bounds on the far side of the field. The Crabber defense that time making sure that he didn't turn that corner that easily. You notice how they kept forcing him to the outside and closing on him, pitching.
They just make him go wide. If you can get the runner to run laterally, then your defense can come in and stop him off. And this is what kills a lot of coaches. They say, "Boy, we need you to run north and south. Don't run east and west."
3rd down and about 7.
Passing situation.
Jenkins wants to pass. He throws it. It was in the hands of the intended receiver in the form of Dwayne Jenkins.
Michael Bullock, number 2, just did a fantastic job of knocking that ball out because it was in the receiver's hands, and he just knocked the ball out. So now you got a 4th down, and they're going to have to punt from this point. I see Bunn, number 11, is in to do the kicking. And
Dwayne
the last
Evans
two times
was
he
the man.
kicked,
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Tim, but the last 2 times he punted the ball, he has not got the ball very far down the field.
He'll be standing at his 45, a 4th down and about 7, and Hampton does not have a deep man. So they're going to let them kick the ball and just let it go wherever it may. It takes a Hampton bounce, and it'll be grabbed and taken down by the T.C. Williams Titans at the Hampton 21-yard line.
I was
marking the 22 now.
I was very surprised he didn't have anybody back, but I'm not, I shouldn't say I'm surprised. Every time I think one thing, Mike Smith does another, and of course he's right, because he is the coach and he's very successful. But when I expect him to do pass, he'll run. When I say he's going to run, he'll pass. And we're counting down in the end of the first half. So what they would like to do now is just to run this last 2 minutes off and go in with a 10-0 lead.
One would imagine, and I emphasize that because we saw a similar situation at Kempsville. Mike Smith chose to pass the football. Robbie Robinson does 2 things, of course. He gets some pretty good yardage, and he stops the clock going out of bounds. Hampton would like nothing more than to put some points on the board, additional points here at halftime, but I'm sure they'll be very cautious about how they do it. They respect T.C. Williams. There's no question about that.
There's no doubt about it. They know that T.C. Williams has got an outstanding defensive team. That's the biggest offensive run that Robbie Roberts has had today. Of course, at this point in the game, what TC may be expecting is the Hampton to set on it too, and if they do, watch out, because that's when Mike Smith will put the ball in the air or pop something loose, and we'll try to get another score before halftime.
Pickup of a little bit more than 10 yards for Robinson. First down for the Crabbers at the 31. This is Robinson again, looking for a hole, finds one, gets across the 40, close to first down territory again. I believe he'll be a little short this time. But nonetheless, that's 2 plays in a row and almost 20 yards.
Right, and that's going off the right side of that Hampton Crabber offensive line is starting to do a good job of pinching in and shutting down the pursuit of the T.C. Williams' defense. And, of course, that's what Hampton needs to do, is to shut down their pursuit.
Pitch back goes to Robinson, stops momentarily, picks his hold, then gets the first down as he crosses the 45, close to the 47. So the Crabbers now, as time is running down, 1 minute and 19 seconds remaining in the first quarter, or rather first half, and the Crabbers now have registered 2 consecutive first downs. So Robinson is getting a little breathing room, and I think, as I said, I think it's just a matter of time before he starts to really pound into that line and pick up more yardage.
He's starting to get warmed up now, and also we need to remember that Hampton has a no timeout, or they have maybe 1 timeout left. They have taken 2 timeouts within the first quarter, I believe, Tim. So again, you can see what Hampton does. They'll just send a man on a fly pattern, and Bullock will throw the ball up and hoping the young man can run under the pass.
Well, that's exactly what's happening that time. The fake was to Robinson. Bullock went back and looked downfield on the fly pattern. Greg Overton just simply ran straight down the field on the sidelines with the attempt to get open, but he was unable to do so. And we have an illegal motion charge against the Hampton Crabbers. That'll be declined as the Titans will take the play. An incomplete pass, and it's 2nd down and 10 for the Crabbers at the 47. Their 47. We have 1 minute and 3 seconds remaining in the first half. Crabbers on top 10-0. Chris Leneve, 27-yard field goal with 5 minutes and 13 seconds to go in the first quarter. And then Samuel Creighton on a 20-yard touchdown run made it 10-0 as Bullock gets some pressure, rolls out, looks downfield, and then is sacked out of bounds.
That was a hit out of bounds.
Well, it certainly was. I'm looking for any flags, but I don't see any.
Flag, Tim, but that was definitely, the man was out of bounds, and he was hit after he got out of bounds.
Well, there wasn't even a hint of a flag on the play, and I might have seen the possibility certainly existed. He was well out of bounds when he was hit, but no flag nonetheless. Stops the clock with 55 seconds to go. 3rd down and long now for the Crabbers, as that loss will take the ball back, and it'll be 3rd down and 15. Now, the Crabbers would be in normally a passing situation. Now, whether they'll elect to put the ball up at this point will be curious to see.
Well, it'll be a good place to look for a draw or even a screen pass.
Fake goes to Robinson. Robinson's open over the middle. Downfield for Overton, and it's way over his head, as he really didn't have any chance whatsoever to catch the football. So we're looking at a 4th down, and while we are, let me take this brief timeout for a quick break. And
Your name is?
Sarita Wilson.
Sarita, you got a sore throat?
Yes.
It's cold out here today.
Yes, try to root my team on the victory.
In deep punt formation, Donald Pincus for the Hampton Crabbers, standing back at his 30-yard line. Gets the snap, has pretty good pressure by T.C. Williams, but gets it away with not too much difficulty. This is Lydell Scott at the 20 and steps out of bounds at about the 22 or 23-yard line. So T.C. Williams will be a long distance from the end zone, but they'll undoubtedly try and get some points here before halftime.
Well, the only problem that you have here, you got 40 seconds left to go in the game, and you don't want to turn the ball over at this end of the field. So I don't know, Mike Smith will put the ball up. I don't know what the coach for the T.C. Williams will do. If he's the kind that's going to put the ball up and try to get something on the board with 40 seconds to go, or he's just anxious to get back and knowing he's going to get the ball on the kickoff to start the second half.
At the 22. Rolling out, looking downfield is Jenkins. He's left-handed, running to his right, so you know it's going to be difficult for him if he does throw the ball. We have a flag down as the ball is intercepted by Craig Overton at the 34-yard line.
And that's what I was just talking about. Now, the flag may be that he threw the ball after he passed the line of scrimmage, which in case it's against the T.C. Williams, and Hampton, of course, will decline that thing, because now there, with 26 seconds to go, they got the ball on about the 35-yard line.
Well, let's see now. We'll watch the official. As you see him to the right, there's the indication, and the ball goes over to the Hampton Crabbers. So Craig Overton now has caught 3 fine passes today, and 2 of those were from his quarterback, and the other was from Jenkins, the quarterback for T.C. Williams. So the Crabbers have a last chance here.
Yes, they do. Now that means that T.C. Williams has turned the ball over 3 times the first half, and the Crabbers have turned it over once. But the Hampton has taken advantage of 1 out of the 2 so far.
Bullock has time, looks for Overton way down in the corner end zone, and that ball was not even a close pass again. Now, he could have used that distance when he was throwing to Jeter at the other end of the field earlier.
He was throwing to a spot that time instead of throwing to the ball player, and that's something that takes a lot of time and a lot of practice with between the receiver and the quarterback. It's something that you just don't get out and do, and of course he just threw it to a spot in the end zone, was hoping that Overton would run under it. And Overton's starting to get a little winded. I see him coming back to the huddle a little slow.
Had a busy first half.
He's been catching passes from both quarterbacks and playing defense and offense and everything.
Just a program note, please join us here on Channel 29 at 4, 7, and 11 p.m. daily for Hampton Highlights, a 60-minute informational program highlighting events and programs of interest regarding the Hampton City Schools. Michael Bullock brings them up at the 34. Fakes again, has pressure from the outside. He's blindsided, but gets it off as he has completed inside the 25, a wrestling match going on after the catch. But it appears it'll be a Hampton first down and a quick timeout called by the Crabbers.
Well, no, what they're doing is, see, their ball is spotted at about the 23-yard line, and you go back about 7, so you're talking about a 40-yard field goal attempt, and that looks like what maybe Mike Smith will do. That's the last timeout they've got. They've got 9 seconds. I don't know how strong a foot Lanieve has got, if he can get it in there from 40 yards out, but I was watching the T.C. Williams kicker at the beginning of the game from this spot, was kicking it from the 31, so I know he can get it in there. So let's see if Mike is either going to go for the touchdown or go for the 3 points.
I'm looking on the field. I don't see Chris Lanieve on the field. In fact, I do now see him on the sidelines, on the 30-yard line, right at the 30 on the sideline. So I think we're going to see Hampton do something other than go for a field goal at this point. Mike Smith out on the field discussing the options with his team. Listen, don't forget to join A.G. Womble Tuesdays through Fridays for Sports Report at 3, 6, and 8 p.m. exclusively on Channel 29. Tim Cole with Bob Hintz as we are in the final seconds of the first half. 9 seconds to go here at W.T. Woodson High School in Fairfax, Virginia. The finals of the AAA high school football. Hampton Crabbers leading 10-0 and have the ball with seconds remaining. Bullock has time. Now he will have to eat the football as he is lifted up high in the air and put down on the ground as a little taunting of the Hampton Crabbers. I would have thought by now T.C. Williams had learned about taunting the Hampton Crabbers. They may come back to regret that. So the time has run out as Hampton was out of timeouts. And at halftime, our score is the Hampton Crabbers 10 and T.C. Williams nothing. We'll be back with second half action after this brief timeout.
Please, people, go leave. Okay.
Back at Fairfax, Virginia's W.T. Woodson High School. This is Tim Cole with Bob Hintz as the Hampton Crabbers are getting set. Check that. That's not the Hampton Crabbers. That is the T.C. Williams team coming out on the field here, and the Hampton Crabbers will be back momentarily. There you see a lot of the fans who were up here from Hampton. We got a tremendous crowd of people all the way up from Hampton for this championship game. As our halftime score is Hampton 10, T.C. Williams nothing. And this game is being brought to you with promotional consideration by Hampton Chevrolet. Thinking of selling your car, truck, van, or mobile home? Let our professional staff do it for you. And by the Mid-Atlantic Coca-Cola Bottling Company. Coke is it. And we thank these sponsors for making this telecast, this cablecast, possible to bring to you. We got some halftime stats here. Our only scoring in the first half was by Hampton, as Chris Leneve got on the scoreboard for Hampton with a 27-yard field goal at 5:13 of the first quarter. And then with only 18 seconds remaining in the first quarter, Sam Creighton, who justly so, I guess, was the man who carried it 20 yards for the lone touchdown score of the afternoon for the Crabbers. In the first half, neither team really having a lot of success passing or running, but I guess Hampton would have to be the one that was most successful. 2 long passes for Michael Bullock has given Hampton a total of 90 yards passing, 4 out of 11, and with 1 interception for Bullock. Rushing for the Crabbers, a total of only 40 yards, which on any other day would spell doom for the Crabbers. But
well, excuse me, Tim, I see the Crabbers coming onto the field now, the left of the dam. Now that you see them, this is going to be a tremendous game. I don't mean to interrupt you. I want to make sure the fans saw the Crabbers coming on, but you want to go ahead and finish those statistics.
Sure enough, Bob. As I said, for the Crabbers, and during the first half, 38 yards for Robbie Robinson, and of course he averages over 100 yards per game, but we still got a whole half to go in this game. Only a minus 31 yards for Michael Bullock. He actually dragged the totals down with a considerable sacking late in the first half as he was thrown for a 12-yard loss, so he had minus 31 rushing. And then Sammy Creighton had 33 yards and 1 touchdown in the first half. Total offensive stats for the Hampton Crabbers: 90 passing, 40 rushing, 130 yards total, and 6 first downs, and they had 1 interception. And Don Pincus punted the ball for an average of 29.2 yards per kick, as long as being 38 yards during the first half. For T.C. Williams, they were unable to complete a pass in the first half, 0 for 6. Actually, they did complete 1 pass. That was to Craig Overton of Hampton, an interception for Jenkins. And then Jenkins had 8 carries for 13 yards, and Lydell Scott had 5 carries for 3 yards. Total offense for the T.C. Williams Titans in the first half, a scant 16 yards total offense. And they fumbled the ball twice. That was early in the first quarter. And one of those led to the three-point field goal by Leneve. And then they had 1 interception, and that was also the one that Overton connected with Spencer Jenkins. And then 28.8 was the average punts for Eddie Bunn. And he had, considering the fact that he had 2 terrible punts, that didn't turn out too bad for him, because he had 1 that was 50.
Yeah, he's I've seen practicing out there now, warming up and kicking the ball, and he's kicking the ball a good 40, 50 yards out there now. I'm not surprised at the statistics, Tim, because both of these teams have fine defensive teams. And Hampton got some breaks early, but they got the long offensive threat with the long passes, and that's what's got them down to the point that they could score. And that's really the difference in the game.
Thanks to Bill Marsh, as he is giving us these stats at halftime.
Well, we really appreciate the stats from those, and those are the official stats from him. And while we got a chance here, and the officials are out on the field showing that T.C. Williams will receive the kickoff, I would like to take this time to thank the athletic director here at W.T. Woodson is Phil Turner. And Phil has really done a super job of helping us get in here and get set up, and it's just been a tremendous boost in arm for us. Some of you people on the peninsula remember Phil. He was a coach at Denby High School for many years down on the peninsula, and he's the athletic director up here now and just doing a great job, and we sure appreciate everything he's done for us.
Is he the guy responsible for us not having frostbite?
Yes, he is.
He'll get
we may have been outside instead of inside.
It's chilly out there. It's not unbearable, but since the sun has come out, it's a little bit warmer. But the sun will be possibly a factor here in the second half, as T.C. Williams will be looking into that sun as it gets a little lower. There you see the long shadows. The sun will be to the right of the field. You see the long shadows with it to the back of Hampton. But in the third quarter, that may have been part of the reason for this election of where you're going to field the ball here in the second half.
That could be very well, because now the passer is going to be looking into the sun, but his receivers are not going to be, and that'll be just the opposite for the Hampton Crabbers. Their receivers will have to look into the sun.
We're just about set to go as Chris Lanieve has the ball teed up at the 40. The Crabbers leading by a score of 10-0, and we're underway here in the second half. Fairly short kick taken at the 24-yard line. Still on his feet as he turns the corner for the Titans, and that is number 26, Troy Bailey for the Titans, as he returns the ball and gives T.C. Williams excellent field position. Almost out to midfield as they've marked the ball at the 44-yard line.
And that gives them excellent field position, but they have had pretty decent field position today on the most part, but they just not been able to move the ball on the ground. So they're going to have to make some adjustments to start the second half, and I'm anxious to see what they're going to do, if they're going to go back to the veer or if they're going to come out of it.
We'll see now. 1st and 10. Spencer Jenkins, the quarterback, hands off right side, and for the most gain of the day so far, a pickup of about 5 yards. So they had no success running in the first half. That's Lydell Scott carrying the football.
And that's the bread and butter play on the veer offense, is to give it to that first man going right through and having one-on-one blocking and let him just bust right through the line and pick up about 4 or 5 yards, which he did that time. He got about 4 yards.
A little more than 4. 2nd down and a long 6 for the Titans. Handoff right side goes to number 43. Zach Lovelace carries the ball for the Titans, and he crosses midfield just barely, and they'll mark the ball right squarely on the 50-yard line. So now they need to get down to the 46 of Hampton for the first down. 3rd down and 4 for the Titans. They registered but 1 first down in the first half. The Hampton defense, as had been all year, very stingy giving up those yards. Spencer Jenkins, the outspoken quarterback for the Titans, call signals. Hands off, right side, first down for T.C. Williams as they cross the 40 down to the 38-yard line, and that's Lydell Scott, number 40, carrying the ball for the Titans.
Well, this is when Hampton's defense is going to have to get tough and make some little adjustments here to stop this drive. That's the second first down that they've got today, and if they can march this ball down and get a score, then that's going to put some pressure on the Hampton Crabbers.
Lydell Scott, I'm told, is a sophomore, and breaking through across the 40 down to the 37-yard line, and that is Shelby Rose. So we're seeing a real diversified attack here in the second half, as we've seen Lydell Scott, Shelby Rose, and Zach Lovelace carry the football.
Well, looks like what they're going to do is they're going to grind the ball out, and they've got a good offensive surge so far. They do split quite a bit with their defense or their offensive linemen.
On the keeper, Jenkins tries to turn it inside and is stopped immediately over there for the Crabbers. Number 81, Tim Penny, along with 64, Randy Pearson, and also in on the stop, or at least near the play, Sherwood Jones, number 70 for the Crabbers. So Jenkins has little success on the right side that time, brings up a 3rd down and a long 3 for the Titans.
And Hampton has done a good job shutting him down. He's been the leading ball carrier so far this year.
3rd down and a long 3. The Crabbers ball at the 37, down close to the first down. It appears he'll have the first down almost to the 30-yard line. So T.C. Williams has come out fired up here in the second half, trailing by the score of 10-0. The Titans, the reigning AAA state champions, are trying to put it down the field strictly on the run. They have not made any motion whatsoever for a pass.
No, and they're doing a good job. They have made some offensive adjustments on their blocking assignments, and have done a good job. And Hampton is overshifting a couple times, and they've been caught off guard. They overshifted to the far side of the field, and the ball was run back this way on the play before last.
Shelby Rose carries that time for the Titans. He gets down to the 30, across the 30, just barely across the 30. He picks up maybe a yard and a half. 2nd down and a long 8 for the Titans. T.C. Williams, 12-1 on the season. And Jenkins still has the football, and the Crabbers have Jenkins. And they remember, the Crabbers undoubtedly remember that last play at the halftime when 3 Titans picked up Michael Bullock and literally bench pressed him on the ground. So I'm sure that we're going to see the defense for Hampton most anxious to return the favor to Mr. Jenkins.
Well, now they've got a third and very, very long. Looks like about a 3rd and 9, and this is definitely a passing situation. They've not been able to pick up maybe 4 or 5 yards on a carry is the biggest gain that they've had today. So let's see if they come out with a pass.
A little more than 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. This pass is picked off. The second interception of the afternoon for Craig Overton. He's trying to pick up some blockers. He'll be dragged down behind, but he almost broke that all the way as the Crabber defense comes up big again. And Craig Overton, his second interception of the afternoon, has the Crabbers at their 34-yard line.
That was a fine play. If he realized that he had a defender coming up behind him, he could have cut inside and picked up more yardage, but he had about 4 blockers out in front of him, and he could have gone all the way. But that young man has really played heads-up ball today.
So that's the 4th turnover of the afternoon for T.C. Williams. Hampton with the football now. This is Robbie Robinson. He's roughed up a little bit as he is taken to the ground. Some of the defensive players for T.C. Williams flexing their muscles. In on the stop, number 22 for T.C., Amr Abu Roman. I had to get that one to call, huh?
Well, Tim, I'll tell you what, I've been very, very pleased that we've not had a whole lot of penalties in this game. They've been just...
You've done it now, you know that, don't you? The announcer's curse, you never do that.
Sorry about that.
Right side, Robbie Robinson, nothing there. As the Titan defense, led by number 33, Harvey Yancey, in on the stop. And the Titans have got Robbie Robinson's number here in the second half, as Robinson unsuccessful second time in a row now. He gets maybe a yard. Let's give him 1. It'll be 3rd down and 7 now for the Crabbers. As on that turnover, the 4th of the afternoon for T.C. Williams, the Crabbers have the ball. And we've got a little more than 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Hampton leading 10-0. Robbie got 1. Had 38 yards in the first half, Robinson did, on 12 carries. Not nearly the success that he's enjoyed up to this part. Bullock over the middle, got a man open, and that's why Will Jeter.
That young
Jeter
man
has the first down just shy of the 50.
And I thought we saw him being carried off the field at the end of the halftime. I don't know if he may have had just a cramp or whatever, but...
I tell you, I found out that was 88 John Crutchfield
Okay.
who was taken off. It was not 89, and I hope Mr. Crutchfield is all right, but I'm
Yes.
certainly glad to see Will Jeter in there, as so was Michael Bullock as he completed the pass to Jeter.
Well, Jeter has been able to find the seam all year long in the defense and get open on those short passes.
First down for the Crabbers at the 49. Robinson tries to turn the corner, nothing there, as they swarm over Robinson as he tried to turn the corner. And the defense for T.C. Williams has, as I said, pretty much read what he's going to be doing.
Well,
Incidentally, let me mention one other thing while I got it. Will Jeter, for the season, had 20 receptions and 446 yards.
Okay. The same thing is happening now that happened the first half. The T.C. Williams' defense have been outstanding defensive team all year long, and I expected Hampton to have trouble moving the ball against them, and they have. Hampton has not been able to run the ball. They've had to pass the ball to move the ball down the field.
And that will hold true again as the Williams middle defensive line has stopped Hampton cold again. It's 3rd down and a long 8. So again, the running attack, the irony of it is that, again, the outspoken quarterback Spencer Jenkins for T.C. Williams was quoted in the paper as saying because of their defense, he felt that the Hampton offense would be unable to pass against them. He said they won't be able to pass against us and we'll shut down Robbie Robinson.
Well, they're shutting down Robertson, but they're not shutting down the pass.
3rd down and long. Bullock gets some pressure, rolls away from one man. Looks down across the field and throws this ball up for grabs, and it's incomplete. As over on the play was Frank Sanders, number 48. He had a good opportunity to intercept that ball. In fact, it really wasn't thrown well at all.
No, that's a very dangerous pass. He was running to the right, and he threw back across the field to the left, and there was 2 Titans that had zeroed in on that ball, and either one of them could have intercepted it, and I believe that's why neither one of them did, as they both were going for that ball.
So the Crabbers bogged down now. The ball at the 49, and they'll have to punt it. Don Pincus gets it away. Pretty good kick inside the 20 to the 18. And up close to the 30-yard line, that is Troy Bailey carrying it back for the Titans. So we've, again, got a defensive standoff here. Neither team able to sustain a drive here in the second half. And we have a little less than 4.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. It's 10-0, all the scoring coming in the first quarter. Hampton leading 10-0. So now the Titans will start from their 28. Excuse me, Bob.
That's okay. I'm just going to say they moved the ball real well on the field, on the ground, until that pass was intercepted, and I look for them to go right back to that same thing.
Oh my, the Hampton defense really got tough that time, as we saw Carl Porter, number 65, stop and slam to the ground, a la the first half play for Mike Bullock when he was done so. Carl Porter was right there and put the press on the running back for T.C. Williams.
It looked like he was waiting for him all day to come through that side and come in open, because he was waiting. He just wrapped him up and body slammed him.
Almost a 2-yard pickup for Scott. 2nd and 8. Spencer Jenkins still has the football, and the ball comes loose. The Hampton Crabbers say they've got it. We'll wait and see. However, no indication. Well, now we see the officials indicate it belongs to T.C. Williams, so a premature indication by the Hampton Crabbers that they had recovered the fumble. That ball did come loose, though. Spencer Jenkins, the quarterback, who has sure hands. He's done a fine job running and passing this year. Caught that one up. That defense is tough, though.
It really is. The defense is doing a good job. But, you know, when you run a wishbone and you run the veer, it's been noted to be a high-risk offense when you're pitching the ball and you're faking handoffs all this time, and you can have some turnovers. And he's done a good job of not turning the ball over. This is the first year he's played quarterback.
Jenkins hands off. Lydell Scott struggling to the 35, but he'll be well short of a first down, as they needed to get to the 38-yard line for the first down. And we'll see the punting team come on again. Eddie Bunn, the punter for T.C. Williams, as the Hampton defense once again has not allowed the Titans to get untracked.
Now, they came out the second half here, and they moved the ball down, picked up a couple of first downs, and looked like they had really got the things together. And then the Hampton defense has come back real strong.
Fairly reminiscent of the Kempsville game, if
Yes, it is.
If I remember correctly. No deep man really for the Crabbers, as Overton is now jogging back to the area where the ball is going to be bouncing, taking a T.C. Williams bounce, goes out of bounds at about the 29-yard line. Once again, the Hampton team did not elect to put someone back in a deep punt receiving position.
Well, and I don't know if Mike is saying, well, we're not that impressed with this kicker, and from that position that he can't get it down inside the 20 or inside the 10 anyway. So they're not going to take a chance to have somebody out there and fumble the ball, because it is nippy, it is getting breezy out there, and sometimes it's hard to catch that ball when your hands are cold.
Well, the sun we had to start the second half has disappeared behind the clouds again. We're back to cloudy conditions here, cloudy and chilly, as the state AAA championship to be decided this afternoon, T.C. Williams and the Hampton Crabbers. This is Robbie Robinson trying to get to the outside, and again, no success, as a host of tacklers on the play for T.C. Williams. Their defense has been really tough on Robinson.
I tell you what, their defense has been tough all year, but they have just been awesome against Hampton's run. The only run of any significance was that of Sam Creighton on that 20-yard run that he got on a touchdown, and I only believe that he got that is because he was in as a blocking back and not as a running back, and everybody's expecting Robbie to get the ball, and he got it.
Inside a minute and a half to go in the third quarter. Second down and a long 8. Robbie Robinson again struggling across the 35. He'll be well short of the first down, however, as he needs to get to the 39 for the first down.
This will bring up a third down and long, and maybe we'll look for Jeter across the center again. I don't know. Hampton has not been having much success on the ground.
Just a reminder, this game this afternoon being brought to you by the Mid-Atlantic Coca-Cola Bottling Company and Hampton Chevrolet. We thank these sponsors for helping us bring this game to you. I hope you're enjoying the game, as we have movement on the T.C. Williams side of the field, and that may be, in fact, it will be a first down unless they were pulled off.
Well, I don't look like it. Looks like what had happened. They jumped off very anxious, and this is one thing a good, smart quarterback can do, is he can change his cadence at the line of scrimmage. And when you have a very aggressive defense like the Titans have, and they're doing a good job, they get over-aggressive and they jump in that neutral zone, which will give Hampton the first down. So that's a real good break for the Hampton Crabbers.
You know, I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. Well, maybe you can't go home again, but you can make that place where you are seem more like the old home place, with plenty of classic Coke around. Coke on ice, oh, how nice. The Crabbers now with new life, 1st and 10. Robinson almost broke through that line, but was stopped before he got more than a couple of yards. And they're at the 42-yard line, and we have probably seen the last play of the third quarter, as we have less than 5 seconds now remaining in the third quarter, and we haven't had any scoring whatsoever since the first.
And that is the end of the third quarter, Tim, and they'll be changing ends of the field now.
All right, while we have this break in the action, we'll be back with fourth period action after this brief timeout and this message from Hampton Chevrolet.
Cash, yours when you buy any new car or truck from Hampton Chevrolet Isuzu. For a limited time, Hampton will give you cash back for your purchase. $750 back for an '86 Cavalier, $900 back for an '86 Camaro, $1,400 back for an S10 Blazer, $1,500 back for an Isuzu Impulse or Trooper 2. Cash to use any way you please for Christmas or apply it to your down payment. Hurry to Hampton Chevrolet Isuzu or call 838-5450 now for complete details.
Tim Cole with Bob Hins back at W.T. Woodson High School in Fairfax, Virginia. The fourth quarter of the AAA championship game about ready to come your way, as the Crabbers now will have the ball at their 42-yard line, 2nd down and a long 8. The Crabbers leading by the score of 10-0.
And we're anxious to see what's going to happen on this fourth quarter. And
Robinson is stopped initially and then is swarmed over, and once again the Titans of T.C. Williams have got his number this afternoon. Robinson unable to get untracked, as he'll end up losing almost 5 yards on this play.
And that really brings up a long situation, and that's definitely a passing situation for the Crabbers. And now I don't know if they could fake the pass and go for a draw play or a screen pass or something like that, but they just can't get the ball moving on the ground against this fine defense of the Titans.
Officially 19 carries for a 40-yard total for Robbie Robinson. 3rd down and 15 for the Crabbers. Bullock is going to have no chance whatsoever to unload, as he is swarmed under. The usually reliable offensive line for the Crabbers could not contain the defense that time, and T.C. Williams was all over Mike Bullock.
Well, what happened that time was that was a full blitz. They blitzed their linebackers. They didn't have anybody back in the linebacker. They had the 2 deep backs, and they just blitzed everybody. So they had 8 men rushing that time, and the Hampton Crabbers were just caught unaware, because had he run a draw play or something like that, he could have popped runner through, and he would have picked up quite a bit of yardage.
Don Pink is standing at the 16. Deep punt formation, just gets the kick away. It's a low kick, and it's bounding. It takes the T.C. Williams bounce as it bounces back to the 46 of Hampton. So the T.C. Williams Titans now, knowing full and well they've got to get untracked here. Time is running out on them. 10 minutes and 29 seconds to go in this game, and Hampton leading by 10 points. So the T.C. Williams team now, I'd have to say, Bob, this is a real crucial possession for them.
Yeah, they've got to do something now. They've got the ball at Hampton's end of the field. They're on a 47, 46-yard line, and that's a good place to start with your possession. But they got to get some points on the board.
Jenkins, one of the few times, goes back to pass. It's knocked away and almost intercepted for the Hampton Crabbers. Over there was Samuel Creighton, the man who scored that touchdown, the only touchdown of the ball game, was over there. And is that Creighton or is that Sherwood Jones? I'm not sure.
That was Sam Creighton that was on that defensive play. But this is one thing that the teams have been saying all year, that Hampton pass defense is suspect, but they have just done an outstanding job today.
Well, actually, I correct myself. That was Sherwood Jones. That was number 70. Part of his jersey is obliterated, and it's hard to tell the number, as we see Shelby Rose try to get some yardage inside, and Hampton on the defense has not allowed any yardage inside so far in this game.
What has happened out here today, we are seeing 2 fine defensive teams that are not allowing any long gains at all, except for those 2 long passes that Hampton's got. It has been something that Woody Hayes would have been proud of, but they're not even getting to 3 yards or the cloud of dust.
45 is the line of scrimmage here. 3rd down and 8. Jenkins gets it away, throws it downfield. It's intercepted. Number 3 for Craig Overton. Overton at the 35, the 40, looking for some blocking, and now just simply runs out of bounds, and we have flags down, but they will be after the fact.
At about the 40-yard line.
As Craig Overton now has gotten his, well, is that his 3rd interception?
I'll tell you what, I believe he's caught the ball 5 times today. 2 from one quarterback and 3 from another quarterback. That was going to really hurt the team, and we got a personal foul against the T.C. Williams team. That's the preliminary signal. I
was going to suspect that it might have been a clip when I see the flags thrown in that general area, but in fact it is against T.C. Williams. So not only will Hampton have the football, but they'll have it at the T.C. Williams 45-yard line. So the Hampton crowd on the far side of the field is up and hollering. They sense something about to happen here. The Crabbers wanting that revenge. Being beat last year by 10-0, the same T.C. Williams team. And since I say the same team, they actually graduated or lost 20 out of the 22 starters from last year's championship team.
Well, and Mike Smith made a statement to me that was rather important, I think, of what the feeling is on the Crabbers team. He says, we felt like we were embarrassed last year. We didn't score any points. We felt like we should have.
This is Robinson. Once again, he's going to be grabbed and thrown for a loss as he is bulldogged to the ground by number 23, Eddie Davis of T.C. Williams, the first man to get to him. And they have really done a fine job, T.C. Williams has, of stopping this potent runner in the form of Robbie Robinson.
Well, they sure have, but what they're doing is they've got the Hampton Crabbers running laterally instead of straight ahead. Of course, they're stopping the straight ahead movement too, but if you run laterally, this Titan defense is a swarming defense, and if one man hits him, there's going to be 3 or 4 right there with him, and it's not one man making the tackle. It's 3 and 4 and 5 defenders on Robbie Robinson every time he catches the ball.
That graphic said 2nd and 10. Actually, it's 2nd and a long 13 as a 3-yard loss by Robinson. This is Robinson, and he gets to the outside, and he finally picks up a little bit of yardage as he crosses the 40 of T.C. Williams. So Robinson gets back the 3 he lost, and then some, as they will mark the ball at about the 39 of T.C. Williams. So Robinson now ends up picking up about, well, let's see.
Almost 10 yards.
Exactly.
He picked up about 10 yards on that carry, Tim, because they had a 2nd and about 14.
Right, and now they're
like
3rd and 4. So Robinson gets almost 10 and redeems himself somewhat. He's doing the best he can right now. They're keying on him something tremendously, and in credit to the defense, it's working for T.C. Williams.
Oh, it definitely is.
Michael Bullock calling the signals. 3rd down and 3. Fakes to Robinson, keeps the ball himself. He's got the first down. So Michael Bullock taking the ball himself, faked to his key running back Robinson, and rolled around the left side, enough for the first down inside the T.C. Williams 35-yard line.
Now, I don't know what's going on. When you tackle somebody close to the other team's bench, you got to watch. It looks like there is a flag on the field, but he did pick up the first down.
Well, apparently there is no flag, so there could have been. There was a little scuffle afterwards, but boys will be boys, as the saying goes, and they'll just let them play it out. 34-yard line.
No, that was not a flag. I thought it was just a piece of paper on the field.
34-yard line as the Crabbers have the first down. They've got the football with a little more than 8 minutes to go. Ooh, Robinson is met in the backfield on a fine defensive play. Coming in there quickly, Lamont Windsor, number 36.
There is a flag on the play now, Tim.
Late flags as Lamont Windsor did a fine job of literally stopping Robinson in his tracks. And we'll see now. There you see the official. The indication is personal foul against T.C. Williams. So now they're starting to be their own worst enemy.
Well, they're getting kind of frustrated. You've had a fine season up to this point. You get in the championship game, and your offense can't do anything, and your defense is doing a good job of stopping Hampton after the first quarter. There's been no points since the first quarter, Tim, and they're getting frustrated. Of course, that's not what your coaches want to see. These are the kind of penalties that'll just kill you because it just moves Hampton closer and closer and closer to the end zone.
You saw moments ago a shot of the Hampton side of the field. The Hampton fans, of course, elated about that last call because it gave Hampton a first down at the 20 of T.C. Williams. Michael Bullock keeps on the quarterback keeper, and he drives down close to the 17. In the ball game now, Marvin Dickerson, number 31 for the Crabbers. He's in the backfield with Robbie Robinson. And the Crabbers pick up about 3. So it'll be 2nd down and 7. Michael Bullock keeping on the quarterback keeper. And we are inside 7 minutes and 15 seconds to go.
Where's the ball, Tim? I'm in a position I can't see where it's marked.
They've marked it at the 17 of T.C. Williams.
I'm sort of blacked out here. I got a shield here in front of me that's not glass.
Bullock on that pass, far sidelines to Craig Overton. Overton having a great day receiving passes from both quarterbacks as he's enjoyed himself this afternoon, and he's been a very key part of this game.
He sure has. That'll bring up a 3rd down, and it looks like it may be 3rd and 4 or a long 4. Almost, I would call it 3rd and 5, Tim.
Overton is a man of many talents for the Crabbers. He had 17 catches for 389 yards during the season. And he plays defense and does a great job on defense. So he's been a key factor in this ball game for the Hampton Crabbers.
I don't know how many passes he's intercepted today, but we know this year, but we know he's got 3 today.
3rd down and about 5. And now we have flags. We had movement, and whether they were drawn off or jumped off will be the decision here. It'll either be against the Crabbers. Well, they're clapping their hands. I have a sneaking suspicion that we'll hold off. Now, I see them. Yep, that's what they're going to do. They're going to move it up. It's going to be against T.C. Williams. That may be another 1st down. And it is 1st and goal.
That will give them 1st and goal from about the 9-yard line. And I tell you, Hampton is playing smart football. They are using everything that they can, cadence counts and everything, and using that aggressive nature of that Titan defense against themselves. They're jumping offside. They're causing 15-yard penalties. There's been 30 yards of 35, 40 yards of penalties in this drive.
The Crabbers with a 1st and goal, the ball just inside the 10. Fake to Robinson. This is Bullock as he is driven out of bounds as he gets close to the 5. And Bullock, now realizing that Robinson is not having the success that he had hoped he might, is electing to keep the ball a little more often himself.
Well, I hate to tell the fans that are sitting at home in a nice warm room and looking at this game how cold it is. Tim, we started off, it was in the high 40s, but I tell you right now, you walk outside, it is in the 30s and dropping. It's getting cooler. The sun has just completely disappeared.
5 minutes and 51 seconds remaining in the ball game. Crabbers 2nd down and goal at the 7. This is Robinson. Flags go down. A flag from the official in the Hampton backfield, and I suspect that it might have been some early movement. That's what the indication is. So the Crabbers will be penalized 5 yards.
Well, Hampton is in a situation where they can get they're close enough to get a field goal from Leneve because he has kicked one earlier. The first 3 points of the ball game, of course, was from about 27 yards or so. But so the Hampton right now wants to run the clock off, wants the clock to run down, and they also would like to get some points. Of course, a touchdown would just completely sew it up. 3 more points would mean that the Titans would have to come back and score 2 touchdowns.
Let's take a quick break now for a cheerleader salute. Tim Cole with Bob Hins as we are late in the 4th quarter. The Hampton Crabbers leading 10-0 and getting down close to the 5-yard line. And I'm trying to pick up who the ball carrier was for the Crabbers. I believe it was Creighton.
It looks like it's about at the 10, Tim. I'm looking at the monitor because I can't see the film, but it looks like it's just crossed the 10 right about at the original line of scrimmage.
So they get it back to the 10. As again, it's a little bit difficult from here to see exactly where it's inside the 10. So that was the original line of scrimmage.
Right.
And they've got 3rd down and goal now. Creighton and Robinson in the backfield. And we have that movement again by T.C. Williams. Now, were they pulled off or did they jump off? That's the question. If they jumped off, that'll be a big boost for Hampton here. It'll be 3rd and goal at the 5, and that's what they're going to do.
And if you notice what's happening is that T.C. Williams has not only got their 5 men up on the line of scrimmage, but then they're bringing the 3 linebackers up. So they're in like a gap gap 8 defense, all you've got is 7 offensive men on the line of scrimmage trying to block 8. And somebody's coming through clean, and that's one of the reasons Robbie has not been picking up any yardage.
But it's starting to come back and haunt T.C. Williams
Yes,
now
it
as
is.
they are jumping off, anticipating, trying to, you have to gamble when you're behind a little bit, and you've got to do the best you can.
Well, this is what Mike Smith said. He didn't want to play catch-up ball, and that's what they're doing. And again, they did it, or somebody jumped. I don't know what it was this time, but it may have been the Hampton team.
I told you about that statement about few flags. It's an announcer's curse.
It's raining flags out here now.
We haven't had a play in 10 plays without a flag. This one is going to be called against the Crabbers as they go from a 3rd and goal at the 5 to a 3rd and goal at the 10. So they've seesawed back and forth. But what's happening in the interim, the clock is winding down.
Yes,
We're
it
inside
is.
of 4.5 minutes.
It will stop while they mark off the penalty, and then it starts right back up again.
And we've been informed that that's the 5th penalty in this drive. So it seemed like a lot more than that, but
Well, I apologize, Tim.
I'm never taking you to a game, I'll tell you that. So it's 3rd down and goal at the 10. Robinson and Creighton. This is the fake to Creighton. Pitch out goes to Robinson. Robinson racing for the corner. Gets inside the 5, but is driven out of bounds at the 4-yard line. And now the Crabbers will have to make a decision. Whether you go for the first down, which in essence is the touchdown, or do you go for a possible 3 points and make the score 13-0 and force 2 touchdowns to be scored by T.C. Williams. That would really put it on a tough situation for T.C. Williams if they had to score 2 touchdowns.
It really would, because you're talking less than 4 minutes to do that, and as well as this Hampton Crabber defense have played, you know that they got to come in and they have to pass the ball. They're not going to be able to drive it down, but it looks like they're going for the touchdown.
Going for the touchdown, 4th down and goal at the 5, and now we see that same play again, where Mike Bullock goes up there and hopes to pull them off, but doesn't do so this time.
They have used that all year, and it has worked on numerous occasions. But I look for Chris Neve to come in and kick the field goal, because this is almost like an extra point. It's not going to be that much further. The ball is spotted at looks like at about the 5-yard line. So
it is at the 5.
So it'd be about a 22-yarder is about what it would be, Tim.
As of this moment, Leneve is still on the sidelines. Mike Smith, the head coach for Hampton, is in the huddle, and he is discussing the play with the Crabbers. So apparently, he is going to go for the touchdown, as you had mentioned. I think he has a pattern. He gets up there with a 4th down and takes either a long count or has Mike Bullock change the cadence so that they have the possibility of someone jumping off. It didn't work that time, and of course then when it gets close to a delay of the game, then he'll quickly call the timeout. So
well, what's happening here is if Hampton doesn't score, look where T.C. Williams is going to have to take the ball, and they're going to have go about 90-some yards to get a score.
over the middle, Will Jeter, touchdown!
Oh, what a nice play, and that's Will Jeter. And that's going to put it out of sight. There's no way that T.C. Williams' team is going to be able to come back and score three times. They're going to have to score 3 times, Tim, and there's just no way they can do it. And Mike Smith is, he has outcoached me on here. I'd say kick the field goal. He says, no way, we're going to get the daggone extra point.
Quick look over the middle, and he threw the ball right into the hands of Will Jeter. Leneve now has to take his time kicking that ball because there was a mishandling, but we've got a flag on the play as Mike Bullock was slammed into just after the kick was away. He mishandled the snap, and the ball was blocked, but we have a flag down. Now Hampton is walking off the field. They may want to come back as we're going to see them try again. Or are they going to assess it after the kickoff?
It may be after the penalty. The extra point will be no good, but the kickoff, the penalty assessed on the kickoff perhaps. And
Personal
that's exactly
foul.
what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. They'll disallow the extra point try, but they will penalize the T.C. Williams Titans by attacking on 15 yards to the point of kickoff. So this, needless to say, will give Hampton an excellent opportunity to boot the ball deep and have T.C. Williams as far back as they can.
Hey, you want me to tell you something that'll happen?
Onside kick.
You're right. Remember what happened in the other game when they played last week and they were kicking off and they did an onside kick and come up with the ball, and nothing will deflate them any more than that. And you know they got to score 3 times. And if you get the ball right back, then that really frustrates the defense. The defense has been out on the field almost the whole second half.
If it were me, and it's not, but if it were me, I would put the ball so far through the end zone at this point and let the other team start from their 20. But we're going to have a different man kicking off for the Crabbers too. And that's going to be number 63, Mike Husted. So normally we would see Chris Leneve on there, but Mike Husted is going to be kicking the ball from the 45 of T.C. Williams. 16-0, the Crabbers on top. We have 3 minutes and 53 seconds remaining in the ball game, and they kick a short one to the 20. It's fumbled, the ball is loose, and it is finally fallen upon by T.C. Williams, so they'll have the ball. And T.C. Williams will be about 23 yards from the end zone, and if you're going to kick it away, why not kick it away? You know, I'm not sure about why you would kick a short one when you're kicking from their 45.
Well, that's true, but you know where you and I are sitting and where Coach Smith is, right?
Believe me, I was only raising the question. I would never question his coaching abilities. That's
no,
certain.
sir. No way would we do that. Mike has just done a tremendous job, but he'll turn around and in a minute and give you his staff, because his coaching staff is just done tremendous all year long.
Spencer Jenkins, the quarterback, keeps out to about the 28-yard line. They need a lot more than that, though. They can't run quarterback keepers and get back in this game.
No way. They're going to have to move the ball in the air to get down there and score any points. We are having some cheerleader spots today. We were approached by one of the parents of one of the cheerleaders and said, "Hey, how about talking about the cheerleaders? They work hard all year. They put in a lot of time." So there you go, Don.
They sure do. They definitely do. 2nd down and 5. Jenkins scrambling, running to the near sidelines, has some running room, and he's going to be met and literally runs over Michael Alexander, number 1 for the Hampton Crabbers, but not before he goes out of bounds. And a pickup of about 9, so it'll be a first down for the Titans as they keep their very slim hopes alive. Inside of 3 minutes to go, 2:56. The clock stops with the out-of-bounds play. And while we have this time, let's take a break for one of our cheerleader salutes. Jenkins with a first down for the Titans, rolling to his right, looking downfield, throws the ball, it's tipped and intercepted. The Crabbers, Craig Overton.
This young man has just done an outstanding job, and that is that's got to be a record in the books to that many interceptions in a ball game. That's 4, I believe, Tim.
4, and that's incredible, to say the least. Craig Overton has been the man in the right spot at the right time. But let's face it, the Hampton team got here with 2 weapons. Robbie Robinson, well, actually 3. Michael Bullock and their defense.
That's right.
And their defense has been the major weapon in this game, as it was last week against the Monacan Chiefs. Throw in Sam Creighton with 209 yards, and you've got a winning combination. 16-0, the Crabbers have the ball at the 34 of T.C. Williams. A fumble, and T.C. Williams has got it. So they're not dead yet, but they have gotten the ball back at their 35-yard line.
Well, Michael Bullock moved out from behind the quarterback on the snap and never really had the ball. And when he stopped to go back and get it, of course, the defense is shooting across that line trying to get the ball, and, of course, they fell on it. But we're under 3 minutes, and we're counting.
There you see the story, 16-0. All the scoring came in the first half up until a moment ago when Will Jeter caught a quick look-in pass over the middle from Michael Bullock to make it 16-0. And the Crabbers are trying to hold on now and defeat the reigning state champion T.C. Williams Titans. Got a new quarterback in for the Titans, and the pass is completed to the quarterback. So how's that? Quarterback Joe Anderson completes the pass to Spencer Jenkins, the other quarterback who lined up as a wide receiver, which is what he played when he was in Florida.
Right. He was in Florida, and when he came up here, he was a wide receiver, and he was such a good athlete. The coach says, "Can you play quarterback?" And he went out there and took a few snaps, and there he did it. He was quarterback from then on, so he is a good receiver. And of course, they have to do something, but with less than 2 minutes to go in the game, it looks like it's pretty well out of hand for them right now.
So Joe Anderson remains at the quarterback helm for the Titans. He's a tall one, 6'5", and he's looking. Now he's going to run with the ball. He's got some running room, and he's going to be hit from behind, but not before he gets down close to the 35-yard line of Hampton. So the best penetration of the second half here for the Titans. Ever since the very beginning of the second half, when they drove from their 40 down to about the 35 of Hampton and then coughed the ball up, the Titans really haven't threatened.
That's true. That young man has not played the whole game, and he took a couple of shots that time and walked kind of slow back to the huddle. Let's see if that's going to have any effect on him.
Spencer Jenkins, the former quarterback, now wide receiver, sets up at the top of the screen. This is Joe Anderson on the option, passes the ball back, and is recovered by the Crabbers. So the Hampton Crabbers get yet another turnover, and this one is grabbed by number 81, Tim Penny, who has done an outstanding job this season. In all the games we've seen, Tim Penny has been an outstanding lineman for the Hampton Crabbers.
He sure has, but that's an unfortunate thing that happened just then. You come in with your second-string quarterback who is not used to running the plays. He's only run 3 snaps from center and was past one and ran for one, and then your pitch wasn't there, and that's why I was talking to you about a high-risk offense, because he pitched the ball and he pitched it behind the runner, and of course the runners, if he's got to stop and go back and get the ball, the defensive has a better chance of getting the fumble.
We've got all kinds of new numbers in there. This is Calvin Knight. He stopped, but it's not really of any major importance. Right now, Mike Smith is getting some of the players on his team who haven't played into the ball game. We've got a new quarterback in the form of Rocky Chrome, number 7, is in there. Last time in the backfield, we had 35, Stephen Tilton, along with Calvin Knight in the backfield. So the starting offensive backfield for the Crabbers has called it an afternoon, as well they might. Only 25 seconds remaining, and the Hampton Crabbers will become the 3A state champions in football, as they have defeated T.C. Williams. As we see, this game isn't over with yet. All the way down to the 47-yard line, they've got to grab young Stephen Tilton, 5'6", 190. He's a horse.
And that should be about the last play. There's 8 seconds left to go. They stop the clock to move the chains, and as soon as they get the chains set up, they'll start to clock them, and that should be it. And you said it, Hampton High School Crabbers are the 1985 AAA champions.
And well-deserved, as they will end their season 14-0, ranked number 1 in the state as they have been all year. And they will prove that ranking to be accurate. Now, the Hampton team, of course, a great measure of revenge involved in this. I'd be curious to find out how much some of these statements made by the quarterback, Spencer Jenkins, had in firing up the defense for the Hampton Crabbers. That's something Mike Smith was quoted in the paper saying, that's why I don't let my boys talk to the media. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to get these guys fired up. They don't
want to give your other team any ammunition to use against you.
As you said, without being too redundant, they didn't need any ammunition. And there you see it on the screen. They've won the championships in 77, 80, 81, and right here in 1985. And they'll not only win it, but they'll win it by shutting out T.C. Williams.
A team that's averaged quite a few points this year, Tim.
Well, they averaged almost 20 points a game. Rocky Chrome will take the snap. And this is going to be it, as he just simply falls on the football. Let's get it over with, guys. There's 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, and there you have it.
And you can see the crowd. The team is just ecstatic. This is something that they have waited for since last year when they left here, and they felt like they were embarrassed. But I tell you what, this team came back, and they have gone through some adversity and just done a tremendous job today.
Well, the Hampton Crabbers, there they have them, and we're going to stay with it as long as we can. I understand we're going to try and get some on-the-field interviews with some of the players and the coaches, if possible. We'll be hopefully passing that enviable chore on to A.G. Womble. I understand he's going to try and get down there and talk to some of the players at the very conclusion here. They're going to have the presentation of the awards and the trophies at the center of the field momentarily. Let me just again recap the scoring for you. The Hampton Crabbers, Chris Leneve, got all the points the Hampton team would need in the form of a 27-yard field goal at 5:13 of the first quarter. And then Sam Creighton, who was so instrumental in Hampton getting to this point with his tremendous game against Monacan, coming in for the injured Robbie Robinson. He scampered 20 yards for the touchdown. The extra point by Leneve was good, making it 10-0 at halftime. And through the third quarter, no scoring in the third quarter. And finally, Will Jeter took a 3-yard pass over the middle on a quick snap by Michael Bullock. And Mike Bullock completed the pass. The touchdown was good, and the extra point try was no good, as Leneve had it blocked on a poor snap, or rather poor handling of the snap. And that's your final score, 16-0, the Crabbers.
You can see a very enthusiastic crowd out there in the middle of that field. The Hampton band's out there and everything, and of course they're trying to get them to clear the field so that they can give the presentation of trophies. But I know Mike Smith and the high school and the Crabbers are on cloud 9. As you can see, the final flashing up there. The Crabbers 16, the Titans zilch.
We want to take this opportunity, if we can, to thank for making this game possible Hampton Chevrolet and the Mid-Atlantic Coca-Cola Bottling Company for their financial support in bringing you this telecast. And Bob, before we wrap it up, any final word from you?
No, but we see that they are running the credits now. You can see who's on the camera. Reginald Branks, Angela Brown, and Glenn Miller. They have done a tremendous job today under very, very cold conditions. It has gotten much colder as we've gone along. Graphics, of course, Diane Bowers.
I see Scotty brought his wife along to cut down the cost factor, I guess.
That was good for Scotty. I'm glad to see them. There's your director, Scotty Bowers. And Scotty done a good job again today. We really appreciate the coverage of these cameramen, and of course by your direction they've got some real good shots. And of course our producer is Dr. Samuel Still Sr., and we appreciate everything he's done.
You know, I don't want to belabor a point, but I want to thank the crew for a tremendous job, not only for this game, but all year long. You and I have the softest job of all. We walk in about an hour and a half before game time, sit down in a nice warm booth, and do the play-by-play, and these people get here and start working at 9 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning when it's really cold out here, and stay long after the game is over, breaking down and setting and getting the equipment put back in the vans. So without belaboring a point, I want to give my personal thanks. If I haven't said it to them before, I certainly want to take this opportunity to thank the crew for a tremendous job done this season.
Well, I'd like just to echo that, Tim, and I have enjoyed it as usual with you. You and I seem to have hit it off real good, and we don't step on each other's toes too much, but this has always been enjoyable to me, and I would wish that the fans at home that are watching this on a delayed broadcast would take a time out and just call the Hampton School Board at 851-8411 and just let the people down there know that you appreciate this, because I know that not everybody from Hampton and Peninsula could come up here and see this game and or any of the playoff games, and you and I have enjoyed doing it. So you know, don't hesitate to call and let Dr. Samuel Still and his people know about that.
Okay, well, that's going to be it now. We're going to hopefully be able to switch down to the field for some post-game interviews with A.G. Womble. In the meantime, this is Tim Cole for Bob Hins. The final score, the victorious Hampton Crabbers 14-0 win by the final score of 16-0 over T.C. Williams. From Fairfax, Virginia, thank you for watching. Good afternoon, everybody.
Cash, yours when you buy any new car or truck from Hampton Chevrolet Isuzu. For a limited time, Hampton will give you cash back for your purchase. $750 back for an '86 Cavalier, $900 back for an '86 Camaro, $1,400 back for an S10 Blazer, $1,500 back for an Isuzu Impulse or Trooper 2. Cash to use any way you please for Christmas, or apply it to your down payment. Hurry to Hampton Chevrolet Isuzu or call 838-5450 now for complete details.
Channel 29 has prepared a series of Christmas programs for your viewing pleasure throughout the holiday season. We hope you'll join us and continue to watch WHCS Cable Channel 29 throughout the year for the best in educational programming, and have a joyous holiday.
Inside dive. That's why we stopped real well. We knew that we stopped the inside dive. Philadelphia fans. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right,
right here again. Come on, man.
Means a lot. It means a lot, especially after last year when we lost that game with Kansas. It means a lot for the kids. 20, 25 years down the road now, they're going to look back and they're really going to enjoy it. This is one that we never can't take it away. It's something they can take to the grave for the rest of their life. Probably it'll be right up in the top 5, some of the biggest thing they've ever done in their life. Great job. Thank you.
Miss Crabber. Hi, Ted.
Ryan Robinson, all-state honors, now state champion.
Well, I had a great season. And coming this game, I want to show them, since I made all-state, how good it was. I'll do my team.
Robbie, you played an outstanding game. Tell us about the defense. Defense looked like they also.
Yeah, they was ready because they made us look bad last year. And so we wanted to prove that we was ready to come out.
And how important was this win for you?
Very important. Because we didn't want them to have 2 back-to-back titles. Nobody
Keep
could do it
that
like
Crabber position.
Yeah.
We want to be a state champion. Great season.
What are your plans for next year? I'll go to college. Where you going? I don't know. Somewhere in the state.
Good luck to you. I'm sure you're going to
You get some scholarship? Yeah. That's it.
Now we got Superintendent Dr. Don Musselman.
Did you ever see 22?
Yes, AJ, this is the first state championship. I came close right here. You've been enough to come back. The year before I was heartbroken because we lost in the playoffs. And this last year we came so close. This year, this defense, we got managing to win it. Come back a few more times. I'll be here next year. Well, it's going to be down at Todd Stadium next year. All right, well, Mike's still got a contract next year. Oh, he give it to you in the year contract. Okay, congratulations.
They knocked us down. I think that's what we did.
You might too, as soon as they West End.
Felt this good if we'd been 16-7 or 16-9.
We had to get pretty close to him. Pretty close.
Boy, not that far. You want to send them on the bench, they play right.
Coach said last year against Kellum, we had 3 interceptions in the playoffs. And his specialty is
We got assistant coach Albert Smith. Albert, first of all, congratulations. How does this compare with some of the others?
It's real good because it was sweet because we wanted it because they beat us last year and we didn't want them to win it back-to-back, so this was super good.
Did y'all do anything special this week in preparation for this game?
No, in fact, we tried to rest a little bit more in practice and not stay in practice so long and just make sure everybody knew what to do, and they did, and they came out and did their job. Last year we thought we was out hustling, and our goal this year was to hustle.
Thanks for good coaching going on that too.
Thank you, thank you.
Al, it's a great season, 13-0. Looking forward to having you back next year and maybe a repeat performance.
Okay, well, we came in 13-0, we got 14 today.
14, all right.
Before you did,
All right, good job. Are you ready? Coach Smith, congratulations on the state championship. How does this state championship this team compare to the other four?
Well, I don't know. I would never try to compare it because there's so much difference in personalities and so forth. They're all great, and this is great. It's this time of year. And,
Coach, I just talked to the superintendent of Big Boss. He just said that you have a 10-year contract if you want. Any thoughts on that?
I just have to wait and see how long I'll last.
Listen, great coaching all year, and good luck to you the rest of your career.
I think most of that goes to the other coaches.
You had a good stay.
Coach Mann, Coach Brian, Coach Washington. Particularly all you up on the varsity. Coach Mitchell, Coach Mann. They do the coaching. I just do the interviews.
Okay. Well, you did good at both of them. Everything. Good.